Right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Diesel Arsenal channel. Thanks for joining us today. And I just want to, before we get started in today's show and start talking about that, I just want to pay tribute to the people in Seoul who there's apparently over 150 people killed in that horrific accident. And the country's apparently now declared a national holiday, and that was a Halloween celebration. So I thought it was only right and proper that I should mention it. So anyway, we'll hope that that the poor people rest in peace and their families find some peace and whatever, because that must have been horrific. Anyway, let's get on with the show. Hold on. Yeah, so let's get on the show with the show. So what we're talking about tonight is we're going to talk about Halloween and how it all started. And there's Joanne is in the chat already, and she's had a little bit of a conversation with me, and then she's said that she shared out the stream. So thanks very much for doing that, Joanne. And she's saying she heard about it. Yeah, it was awful, but let's get on with the show. I'm just going to get my script up and let's get rid of a few of those. Right, yeah, sorry about that, guys. We had a bit of a technical hitch there, but it's all good now. Right, so let's get back into it. So, as we all know, today is Halloween, and it is one of the oldest festivals in the world. It dates back at least 2,500 years, and possibly even longer than that, really. And what we're going to do, I'm going to talk to you about all of that and how it got started, how it's moved around the world, things like that. And it's now at the point, it's one of the most popular festivals in the world, and particularly in the United States. It's currently the second biggest celebration in the calendar behind Christmas. So that just shows you how much it's grown. And we've got a chat here from Joanne. Says, one lot of trick-or-treaters tonight. Had many your way, Warren? No, I haven't had any, thankfully. Alan Attic, big up, everyone. Thanks very much for coming in, Alan Attic. And Ennis Sports TV says hi. And he says, big up, Warren. The same to you, fella. Nice to see you. And so tonight I thought I'd talk to you about how it all started, where its and traditions come from, and all those sorts of things, because I get the feeling and not a lot of people know about it, and it's very, very interesting. So before we get started, I'm going to recite a little poem or song, whatever you want to call it for you. It's called The Witch's Song, and it's from the play that was written by Shakespeare called Macbeth. And it goes something like this. It goes, double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble, fillet of a fenny snake, in the cauldron boil and bake, eye of a newt and toe of frog, wall of bat and tongue of dog, adder's fork and blind worm's sting, lizard's leg and howlet's wing, for a charm of powerful trouble, like a hell broth, boil and bubble, double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble, cool it with a baboon's blood, then the charm is firm and good. So there you go. That's the infamous Witch's Song that was penned by William Shakespeare for the play by the name of Macbeth, and it's the play where the actors who are in it aren't allowed to say. They consider it really bad luck if you say the word Macbeth. So there you are. Anyway, so what we're going to talk about today. So in the show today, we're going to talk about its Celtic origins. We're going to talk about the influence of the Romans and the church and how that's impacted on Halloween. Then we're also going to look at 2 seconds, I can't really read that. We're going to talk about how Halloween went to America, and then we're going to look at Halloween around the world, and then we'll just wrap it all up. So I hope that's going to be entertaining for you. And Ennis Sports says, spooky, scary skeletons send shivers down your spine. Nice one, Ennis Sports. Good man. And Ennis Sports says, did you support Rangers or Celtic? I know you're part Scottish. Yeah, I'm a Celtic fan, mate. Yeah, so it's a big thing. And in Scotland, it's like a divide that goes through the whole country. It's you obviously get the people in Glasgow who support the clubs that come from near the area where the teams are, but also most people in little towns or whatever, they will support their local team, but they'll also support Celtic or Rangers as well. So there you go. Anyway, back to what we're supposed to be talking about. This isn't a stream about Celtic and Rangers. Let's get on with it. So I want to just big up Diesel's YouTube channel. Please make sure you go and subscribe to his channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure as well that you put a like on the video, please, for tonight's show. Please do that for us. And yeah, because Diesel's a fantastic guy. He's letting me do this. Quite why he's letting me do it, I mean, because every week there's some drama or something, and 90% of the time it's me that's caused it. So yeah, big up to Diesel, absolute top bloke. And please come and find my channel, subscribe. Please come and subscribe to my channel, put likes on my videos and stuff. Every Saturday, I do a sort of show where I follow all the action in the 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League and in the Championship and in Scotland and League One and League Two. Just follow what's going on in the football, really. It's quite entertaining. It's a bit of a laugh and a bit of light-hearted banter. It's great fun, and everyone really enjoys it. So if you haven't come to see that before, come and check it out because it's great. Now, other times I do sort of ad hoc shows as well. In addition to that, I'm not quite sure when the next one of those is going to be yet, but keep your notification bells on and hopefully there'll be something soon. So, yeah. Anyway, so let's get back to this. So it seems that Halloween, it seems to have all started with the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. Now, Samhain is spelled Samhain, and it's a Scots Gaelic, Irish Gaelic word for Halloween. People would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts. And Halloween's origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. So you see these people dancing around a fire. Fires was an integral part of the festival, and we'll talk about that in a little while. Now, let's move on. So the Celtic world, as you can see, this is a map of the ancient Celtic world. So it included Ireland, Scotland, Wales, the Isle of Man, and Cornwall. Okay, so it's quite common, particularly between Scotland and Ireland, if the two peoples encountered each other, they would normally have been able to understand each other. Although the languages, there are some differences between the two of them, but they could understand each other just more or less, just about. It's sort of, I guess, the nearest thing you could compare it would be with is probably the languages in Scandinavia. There's like slight subtle differences between all those languages, but they can understand one another. So the Celts who lived about 2,500 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and also northern France. Yeah, I forgot to mention the people in northern France because there are Celtic people there as well. And there's also Celtic people in, I think it's in Galicia in Spain as well. They celebrated their new year on November the 1st. And in common with most other Celtic celebrations, they started the night before. As in Celtic culture, the day starts and ends at dusk. So the day would end at dusk and the new one would start. So that's how it would work. So the day was the Celtic New Year and marked the end of the summer and the harvest and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, a time of year that was often associated with human death. Celts also believed that on the night before the new year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. So it became very thin. And this is a common theme that's still in place today, where a lot of people who are who practice witchcraft and so on, but don't be too thing about witchcraft. It's not witchcraft. There's two strands to it. There's dark witches, black magic, and white magic. Right? The white magic is good, and it's not harmful. The ones who you got to worry about are black magic. All right. So just because someone says they're a witch, it doesn't mean to say they're a bad person. So, and here on this slide, you can see like this hymn or prayer about Samhain. Let's just have a quick look at that. And as you can see, it says, "May the turning of the year bring you strength and joy. Call upon the past and celebrate as the veil thins between the worlds. Honor yourself, Mother Earth, and all your relations." So there you go. There you have it. That is, I believe, it's something that used to be said during the Celtic festival, Samhain. And here you can see a calendar for Samhain as well. So, and it basically shows the periods of the year, and the celebrations of Samhain would start on the night of October the 31st, as it was believed that the ghosts and dead returned to Earth. It's also reported that in some early Celtic writings that Samhain was marked by great gatherings, feasts, bonfires, and sacrifices, was when the ancient burial mounds were open, which were seen as portals to the other world. And NS Sports says, "I dressed up as Jack the Ripper for Halloween." Well, fair play to you, man. Fair play. I hope you enjoyed that. And Joanne says, "I'm a witch." Laugh at that. Well, I'm sure you're not a black witch, Joanne. You don't strike me as being the sort who would want to indulge in that sort of behaviour. So it was so it was also believed that Samhain was a festival when the boundary between this world and the other world thinned, meaning the Osi, the spirits of fairies, would more easily come into our world. And at this time, the Asui were appeased with offerings of food and drink to ensure the people and their livestock survived the winter. Now, some believe, however, that the celebration of Samhain may date back even earlier than 2,500 years BC, because in the Boyne Valley in Ireland, there are two hills which have strong connections with Samhain in Celtic Ireland, and these are Clistarga and Tara. So we're going to find out about these two now. So Clistarga was the location of the Great Fire Festival, which began on the eve of Samhain, Halloween, and then Tara was also associated with Samhain. However, it was secondary to Clustar in this respect, and the entrance passage to the mound of the hostages on the hill of Tara is aligned with the rising sun around Samhain. The mound of the hostages is between 4,500 to 5,000 years old, suggesting that Samhain was celebrated long before the Celts first arrived in Ireland about 2,500 years ago. There is a similar belief in other ancient cultures, which is still conducted in the modern world, in the relation to the taking of ayahuasca, which facilitates the moving between the spirit and material world with the aid of a shamanic priest. The shamans lead the ceremonial consumption of the ayahuasca drink in a rite that typically takes place over the entire night. Now, during the ceremony, the effect of the drink lasts for hours, and prior to the ceremony, participants are instructed to abstain from spicy foods, red meat, and sex. The ceremony is usually accompanied with purging, which includes vomiting and diarrhea, which is believed to release the built-up emotions and negative energy. And this thing that I've just been talking about there is extremely, extremely dangerous. And it's imperative for when people do it that they're accompanied by a shamanic priest. Otherwise, it can get very, very, very dangerous indeed. And it shouldn't be people who have heart conditions or strokes, things like that, should not get involved in it, because it is, like I say, it's very, very dangerous and can be damaging to their health. So, moving on. Yeah, everyone, please don't forget to subscribe to Diesel's channel. Let's see if we can see how many people we've got in here watching this. I'm not really sure. Oh, well, anyone who's watching this, please make sure you click on that like button. All right. It's really, really important. And it really helps YouTube channels, helps them to grow. That's why people always ask you to do it. So please make sure you do that. And also don't forget to subscribe to Diesel's channel as well. If you haven't done it already, absolutely superb stuff and a lovely, lovely fella. So please make sure you do that. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Warren's Team Talk. You can find me on a Saturday. My program starts at 2:30 on YouTube, and I follow all the action on the 3:00 kickoffs up and down the country. And it's a great, great crack, great laugh, great entertainment. People really, really enjoy it, and it's just a good bit of light-hearted humor, really, and banter. And it's basically, it's like a sort of similar to Soccer Saturday on Sky Sports, but I think I'll do it better, to be quite frank. So yeah, please make sure you come and join me on Saturday for that, because it's really good fun. And Taib is in the chat. He's saying hi, Warren. Hi to you, Taib. I hope you're well. And Craig at AFC 87, he's saying big up, Warren. Big up to you as well, Craig. I hope you're good. Happy Halloween, people, says Craig. Same to you, fella. And Taib says there was an old geezer from Pippin who wanted to go skinny dipping. He gave his wife whiskey. They got bare and frisky, then got into the pond. Both went slipping. Oh, dear me. Taib, man, you're up. Real. And Craig FC says, hi, Joe. Excellent. So lovely to see you all. Thanks very much for coming. Please, please, please make sure that, like I say, you put a like on the video for Diesel. It's really, really helping grow his channel. And please make sure you come and check my channel out as well. Like I say, at the moment, the next show is going to be this Saturday coming, when I do my Sky Sports Match Day Live thing, whatever you want to call it. So it's great fun. And we got Carnate AFC 84 in the chat. He says, happy Halloween, people. Well, good to see you, Carney. I hope you're well, mate. And Craig, how you doing? It's good to see you, fellas. And Ty, Warren, what's the topic today? Some dodgy priests and these evil actions, laugh out loud. No, it's about Halloween and how it all started, Ty. It's very interesting. You missed a little bit, but we're just about to get into a bit more now. So thanks for joining. I've got my Cauldron Hocus Pocus mug. Good for you, Joe. And I've got my... There you go, guys. I don't know if you can see that. It's my traditional Scottish / Irish jack-o'-lantern. I did have it on earlier, but I wanted to have it in front of me while I was doing the stream, but you can't see it because it's too low, unfortunately. But yeah, it's sitting here next to me watching what's going on, so that's good. So Carney says, I'm good, thanks, mate. Well, that's good to hear. Right, so let's get back into this. So now, during Samhain, the souls of dead kin were also thought to revisit their homes, seeking hospitality, and a place was usually set at the table for them during a meal. And mumming and guising were part of the festival from at least the early modern era. Now, I'm going to talk about guising later because it's an interesting part of Halloween now, and it sort of comes from this period as well. Now, here we go. Let's look at this. This is quite interesting. Hold on just a sec. Let me just do this. There we go. That's a bit better. So, whereby people went door to door in costumes, reciting verses in exchange for food. The costumes may have been a way of imitating and disguising themselves from the RC, because people were terrified of the ORC. And divination was also a part of the festival, and also involved nuts and apples, and played a huge part in Celtic culture because of the dependence on the crops to survive and the effects that it believed the deities had on their lives. Because the thing is, at this time, like 1st of November, that was it. That was when they got all their food in from the harvest and so on. Anything that, if they didn't get all their food in by then, that was it. They weren't going to survive until the spring. They would be dead, basically, because they'd starve. So it was very important, the divination aspect, because it helped them to see what was going to happen and help them to, get through the winter. Because, like I was just saying, there was huge dependence on the crops, and if they had a bad harvest, they would be in serious jeopardy. Absolutely. And they believed that the deities played a big part in all of this. So the guising I was talking about is short for disguise, and that's where this idea of them going around wearing costumes, and in that image there you can see people imitating this and dressing up in costumes, because they're trying to hide themselves from the AOC because people were terrified of them. So let's move on. Now, in addition to causing trouble and damaging crops, Celts thought that the presence of the otherworldly spirits made it easier for the Druids or Celtic priests to make predictions about the future. For a people entirely dependent on the volatile natural world, these prophecies were an important source of comfort during the dark winter. So they would go and see these priests, and what they told them would help to calm them and keep them happy and focused, and make sure that they didn't just become overly panicky during the long dark winter nights and wait and cold of that the winter brought with it, so that they would be able to, so that they wouldn't just have a mental health crisis. So the role of the priests in all of this were very, very important to help people manage their mental health, because it was a huge issue for people, not knowing if they were going to have enough food to get them through to the spring, and so on and so forth. Now, to commemorate the event, Druids built up huge sacred bonfires where the people gathered to burn crops and animals as sacrifices to the Celtic deities. And during the celebration, the Celts wore costumes typically consisting of animal heads and skins, and attempted to tell each other's fortunes. They would also extinguish the fires in their homes and throw the bones of the animals that had been sacrificed onto the fire. And it is believed that this is where the word bonfire comes from. So bone fire. So they would throw bones onto the fire and they call it a bone fire. And then it got shortened down the years to bonfire. So that's where the word comes from. Now, individuals would then relight their torches from the communal fire and take it to their own fires in their homes, thereby taking personal light and warmth from the communal fire, and as a symbol of the individual's connection to and reliance on others. So this whole thing about community was incredibly important to the Celts, and particularly at this time of year when they were trying to survive for the winter. So let's move on. So there you can see a sacred Celtic bonfire, people all standing around it, and so on and so forth. When the celebration was over, they all lit their hearth fires, which they'd extinguished earlier in the evening, and from the sacred bonfire to help protect them during the coming winter. Now, by circa 50 AD, the Roman Empire had conquered most of the Celtic lands, and during the time that the Romans ruled the Celtic countries, they merged two festivals of Roman origin with the Celtic festival of Samhain. And these festivals were Feralia, which was a day in late October when the Romans commemorated the passing of the dead, and Pomona, which is the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. Interestingly, the symbol of the goddess Pomona is the apple, and this probably explains where the tradition of bobbing apples comes from. Now, Pope Gregory III expanded the Catholic festival of All Martyrs Day to include all saints as well as all martyrs, and moved the observation from May 13th to November the 1st. And then by the 9th century, Christianity had spread into Celtic lands, and it slowly merged its festivals with and or replaced the older Celtic festivals. Now, in what is going on with my mouse? So in 1000 AD, the Catholic Church made November the 2nd also All Souls Day, also known as All Hallows or All Hallowmas, which was a day to honor the dead. And it is widely believed that the church was trying to replace the Celtic festival of the dead with a church-sanctioned holiday. And similarly, to Samhain, All Souls Day, was celebrated by having a huge bonfire, parades, people dressing up in costumes, most commonly saints, angels, and devils. And the day before, traditionally the night of Samhain, became known as All Hallows Eve and eventually Halloween. So here you go. This is a picture of people doing guising in Scotland and in Ireland, and this is where it comes from. Now, if you look on the one that's closest to me, right, you can see that person looks a bit, to me, I don't know about what anyone else thinks, he looks like that character Michael Myers from the Halloween horror film. So yeah, I just thought that was quite interesting. That struck me earlier when I was going through this. And in Scotland and Ireland, there is a tradition called guising at Halloween, which is when children go from door to door dressed in costumes and a gift in the form of food, coins, or apples or nuts for the Halloween party. And in more recent times, chocolate is given to the children. And this practice goes back as far as the 16th century. Also in Scotland and Ireland, Halloween masks are also commonly referred to as false faces. Now, in the late 19th century in Scotland, people known as masqueraders would dress in disguise and visit people's homes carrying lanterns, which had been made out of scooped out turnips, known as swedes in England, to be returned to be rewarded with cakes, fruit, and money. Now, traditionally, there is a significant difference between the way the practice has developed in North America with the way that it was celebrated in Scotland and Ireland, where the children are only supposed to receive treats if they perform a party trick for the households they go to. This normally takes the form of singing a song or reciting a joke or a funny poem, which the child has memorized before setting out. Taib says, wasn't Halloween some pagan festival? Taib, Halloween is an ancient, it's got its roots from an ancient Celtic festival, which is an ancient pre-Christian religion or culture that existed in Ireland and Scotland. And it's called Samhain, and it's just developed on from there. And then when the Catholic Church came to Scotland and Ireland, they tried to replace it by imitating the festival with religious festivals. So that's what happened, basically. I hope that answers your question, mate. It looks like a Labrador's head in that costume half that low. Yeah, it does a wee bit, doesn't it? Right, so now I'm going to tell you about Stingy Jack and the Devil, and it's a traditional Irish Halloween tale. Now, the jack-o'-lantern, and it's all about the jack-o'-lantern as well. That's why there's a jack-o'-lantern in the picture. The jack-o'-lantern has become a symbol in contemporary culture, and it has its origins in Ireland. The name jack-o'-lantern comes from an Irish folk tale about a man named Stingy Jack. Irish immigrants brought the tradition to America, home of the pumpkin, and it became an integral part of Halloween festivals. So who is this Stingy Jack fella? Well, Stingy Jack invited the devil to have a drink with him. Now, true to his name, Stingy Jack didn't want to pay for his drink, so he convinced the devil to turn himself into a coin that Jack could use to buy their drinks. Once the devil did so, Jack decided to keep the money and put it into his pocket next to a silver cross. which prevented the devil from changing back into his original form. Jack eventually freed the devil under the condition that he would not bother Jack for 1 year, and that should Jack die, he would not claim his soul. The next year, Jack again tricked the devil into climbing into a tree to pick a piece of fruit, and while he was up in the tree, Jack carved the sign of the cross into the tree bark so that the devil could not come down, until the devil promised Jack not to bother him for 10 more years. And Joanne's coming with another chat. She's saying, my mum's uncle had a trick-or-treaters at his door. They said, trick or treat. He said, I think I'll have a trick. They chucked a bucket of flour over him, a bag of flour over him, and Aunt Marilyn said, well, you silly old bugger. Well, exactly. Well, he asked for it, didn't he? That's a bit much for him, calling Del Boy a stingy Jack. Did I call Del Boy a stingy Jack? Oh dear. Now, soon after Jack died, as the legend goes, God would not allow an unsavory figure into heaven. Soon after Jack died, as the legend goes, God would not allow an unsavory figure into heaven. The devil, upset by the trick Jack had played on him, and keeping his word not to claim his soul, would not allow Jack into hell. So he sent Jack off into the dark night with only a burning coal to light his way. Jack put the coal into a carved out turnip and has been roaming the earth with it ever since. The Irish began to refer to this ghostly figure as Jack of the Lantern, and then simply Jack-o'-lantern. So there you go. That's where Jack-o'-lanterns come from. So I thought that'd be quite interesting. I thought you'd find that quite interesting. So now you know why we have Jack-o'-lanterns. So please, everyone, make sure you subscribe to the Diesel Arsenal channel. And I'm sure he definitely won't trick you to do something you don't want to do. And he won't make sure that you end up walking around the earth with a lump of coal in your pocket to light your way. But yeah, please subscribe to the Diesel Arsenal channel. Please make sure you put a like on this video. Okay, and if you haven't subscribed to his channel already, please make sure you do so. He's an absolutely top fella. I love him to bits, and it's an absolute privilege for me to be able to come to his channel and do this. I absolutely love talking about this stuff, and I know that Diesel loves me doing it. So it's brilliant because we both get something out of it. So I'm really happy about that. So yeah, please make sure you subscribe to Diesel's channel. It's a fantastic channel. And a few days ago, he did a review of the Notts Forest Arsenal game, and it was superb. What he said about Arsenal in that video was absolutely on point. So go and check it out because it was great, honestly. And yeah, please come and subscribe to my channel. My channel is called Warren's Team Talk. Every Saturday, I do a live sort of watch along stroke Sky Sports Saturday show. It's not really a watch along as such. It's more like keeping you up to date with all the scores up and down the country as they do on Sky Sports. I've got some other shows in the pipeline. Hopefully going to be doing a show about Liam Brady, and also when the World Cup starts, I'll be doing some content about the World Cup as well. And also soon I'm going to be doing stuff about the FA Cup again. So yeah, there's lots coming. So yeah, I'm just getting it all together now, and hopefully it'll be really interesting for you. So, moving on. Now, as you can see, that is a typical jack-o'-lantern in Ireland and Scotland. And the reason I keep going on about Ireland and Scotland is where this is where Halloween started. It's where it originates from. Okay. Now, in Ireland and Scotland, people began to make their own versions of Jack's lanterns by carving scary faces into turnips or potatoes and placing them into windows or near doors to frighten away Stingy Jack and other wandering spirits. And there you go. There's mine. You see that, guys? You see that? All right. That's my jack-o'-lantern. So, and as you can see, mine's not made out of a pumpkin. Mine's made out of a turnip or swede, whatever you want to call it. And when I was a kid, my dad always used to make it out of swede as well. He never ever made them out of pumpkins. So, and I used to, why is he doing it? Why is he making it out of swede? That must be really hard. But now I know why. So there you go. So Halloween comes to America. So initially, Halloween started off in the southern parts of America and Maryland as the culture of the different European immigrants merged with the American Indians. The Halloween festival started to take on a distinctly American feel. These first celebrations would commonly include play parties, which were public events held to celebrate the harvest, and neighbors would share stories of the dead, tell each other's fortunes, dance and sing. These festivals also included the telling of ghost stories and mischief making of all kinds. In the second half of the 19th century, America saw a big increase in immigrants, largely from Ireland and Scotland, which included millions of Irish fleeing the Irish potato famine, and this helped to popularise the celebration of Halloween nationally. Immigrants from Ireland and Scotland brought the jack-o'-lantern tradition with them when they came to the United States. They soon found that pumpkins, a fruit native to America, made perfect jack-o'-lanterns. And similar to European traditions, Americans soon started going to house on Halloween asking for food or money. And this practice eventually led to Halloween's trick-or-treating. And Taib says, is Arteta's light bulb in one of them? Is Arteta's light bulb in one of them? Yeah, probably, mate. And Dre Vision says, I'm always been interested to know the origins of Halloween. Thanks for a quality video. Thank you, buddy. I hope you're enjoying it. Yeah, it's very interesting story, the way it's developed over the years. And it's been going at least 2,500 years. Well, now probably 4,500, maybe 5,000 years old. And some people believe it even goes back further than that. So it's centuries and thousands of years old. Joanne says, Warren, where did the idea of, is that pumpkins that you ask? Where did the idea of pumpkins come from? Well, it's because in America they grew pumpkins were native to the United States, and they found they were a lot easier to carve because they are. Carving one of these things, this swede, right, is hard. It's hard work, let me tell you. I did it this morning. It took me about 3 or 4 hours to just do that, and that's a little one. right? So whereas a pumpkin, it's a lot easier to carve. So that's what that's all about. So a belief also started to appear, especially among young women, that on Halloween they could divine the name or appearance of their future spouse by doing tricks with yarn, apple pairings, or mirrors. So in the image here, you can see a young woman standing in front of a mirror, looking into a mirror, and a young gentleman appearing in the window. And this would happen on midnight. Let's have a let me explain that bit better. So yeah, so you can see at 12 o'clock on Halloween, a young woman standing in front of a mirror with a candle, and her future husband appears in the mirror. Now, I grew up with this tradition. I heard about this when I was a kid. I used to get told that if you go and stand in front of the mirror, and you will see your future husband, sorry, your future wife at midnight. And by the late 19th century, the Americans tried to turn Halloween into a holiday more about community and neighborly get-togethers than ghosts, pranks, and witchcraft. And by the start of the 20th century, Halloween parties for children and adults became the most common way to celebrate the festival. The parties centered on games, foods of the season, and costumes. And as a consequence, and because of the removal of some of the more grotesque and frightening aspects, it soon lost all of its religious and superstitious overtones. And during the 1920s and 1930s, vandalism became a big problem in America during the Halloween festivities. And at this time, Halloween became more of a community-based holiday, with parades and town-wide parties became commonplace. Then, by the 1950s, the problems of vandalism have been largely eradicated as the celebrations moved to the classroom and people's homes because of the baby boom at the time. So, now here we can see a typical American trick-or-treating. Now, during this time, the centuries-old tradition of trick-or-treating started to be revived, and it proved to be a relatively inexpensive way for the whole community to be involved in the Halloween celebrations. And it is claimed that this proved an effective way for families to prevent tricks being played on them by providing their neighborhood's children with small treats. Now, currently, America spends an estimated £6 billion on Halloween, which it makes it America's second biggest commercial festival behind Christmas. Well, I found that absolutely staggering. I'm not surprised, but I found it staggering that it was like £6 billion a year that they're spending on Halloween. That's unbelievable. So everyone, please, as I keep asking you, make sure you put a like on the video for Diesel for me. Diesel's an absolutely lovely guy. The way you see him when he goes and does his streams is exactly what he's like. He's an absolutely top bloke and salt of the earth, as they say. And you couldn't hope to meet a nicer fella. So please, please, please go and support him, because he's as honest as the day is long. And please go and support him. He does brilliant content. Go and check out the review that he did for the Notts Forest Arsenal game at the week on Sunday, I think it was. Yeah, yesterday. It's absolutely superb. Absolutely top draw stuff. Personally, I loved it. I thought it was magnificent. So, and also please make sure you come and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it already. It's called Warren's Team Talk. I talk football on there, and every Saturday I do a live show. Starts at 2:30 every Saturday without fail, unless the world's coming to an end, and then obviously I won't be doing it. But yeah, every Saturday at 2:30, and I cover all the games up and down the country in English and Scottish football, and it's great entertainment, great banter. We have a great laugh, and I just try and keep everyone up to date with what's going on. And usually there's always some sort of madness going on, crazy scores, crazy things happening in the football and whatnot. Like, who would have predicted, like, for example, Chelsea getting thumped 4-1 at Brighton like they did? It was just absolutely ridiculous, but there you go. So that's the sort of thing that happens. And in my show, I have these little special videos that I play when things happen, like one for a goal, one when someone gets booked, one when someone gets sent off. It's absolutely hilarious. It's great, great stuff. So please make sure you come and join in with that. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and make sure you put likes on my videos. That would be fantastic. Thank you, guys. Right, so moving on, let's talk about Halloween and how it's celebrated around the world. Although Halloween can trace its origins back to about 4,500 years ago, it's now celebrated all over the world. And in the USA, like I said earlier, it's now the second biggest festival in the calendar after Christmas. So it's huge, and it's huge business, let me tell you. So how is it celebrated around the world? So let's find out. So in countries such as Ireland, Canada, the United States, traditions typically can include costume parties, trick-or-treating, pranks, and games. Now, in Mexico and other Latin American countries, Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, honors deceased loved ones and ancestors. And now what we're going to do, we're going to look at Dia de los Muertos and how that is celebrated. So this is all about Dia de los Muertos, and we're going to find out how it's celebrated in Latin America. In Mexico, Latin America, and Spain, All Saints Day, which takes place on the 2nd of November, is celebrated with I can't say the word I wanted to say. Is celebrated with a 3-day celebration that begins on the evening of the 31st of October. The celebration is designed to honor the dead, who it is believed return to their earthly homes on Halloween. Many families construct an altar to the dead in their homes to honor deceased relatives and decorate it with candy, flowers, photographs, samples of the deceased's favorite foods and drink, and fresh water. Similar in some ways to how a place was set at the dinner table for the deceased during the festival of Samhain in Celtic cultures that we talked about. Now, I'm just going to tell you something about myself now. Now, in relation to this story about Irish and Scottish people going to America, at the beginning of the 20th century or towards the end of the 19th century, my great-grandfather and his brother went to Argentina because they'd heard that there was gold to be had there. And they left Scotland off. They went on their merry way, Obviously, my great-grandfather came back, but the brother didn't. No one knows what happened to him. I'm assuming that there's family out there somewhere, but they went looking for gold. So the reason I'm telling you that is because he would have gone to Argentina and taken the traditions with him that he had growing up with Halloween. So it's just a real example of how the Scots and the Irish went overseas and spread their traditions with them. So I just thought that'd be interesting for you. Now, often a wash basin and towel are left out as well for in the Dia de los Muertos festivities, so that the spirit can wash before indulging in the feast. Now, Dia de los Muertos festivities also features bread, candles, and other types of foods in the shape of skulls and skeletons. Now, All Saints Day, All Souls Day in Spain. Candles and incense are burned to help the deceased find their way home. Relatives also tidy the grave sites of their departed family members. This can include snipping weeds and making repairs and painting. The grave is then decorated with flower wreaths on paper streamers. And on November the 2nd, relatives gather at the gravesite to picnic and reminisce. Some gatherings even include tequila and a mariachi band. So there you go. And there you can see in that slide, you can see how people bring in flowers and things for celebrate All Souls Day or All Saints Day in Spain. So guys, please, once again, please make sure you subscribe to the Diesel Arsenal channel. Please put a like on this video, and please make sure please put a like on this video, and please make sure you subscribe to his channel. Like I said to you before, he's an absolutely top fella. You will not regret subscribing to his channel because his videos are superb. Honestly, they're absolutely top quality stuff. So please go and subscribe to him. Also, guys, please come and check my channel out. It's called Warren's Team Talk. And as I said, every Saturday I do a show which closely mirrors that of the Soccer Saturday on Sky Sports and the similar show that's on BT Sport. And I follow all the action as it happens, shout out all the goals and the goal scorers and how they scored the goals as they go in up and down the country. So it's great fun, and there's a lot of banter to be had, and it's brilliant. I love doing that show. I really, really do. So let's move on. So there we go. In this show tonight, I've talked to you about the Celtic origins of Halloween, the influence of the Romans in its development, the church and Halloween and how it's helped it develop or not, as the case may be, trick-or-treating in Ireland and Scotland, Stingy Jack and the Jack-o'-lantern, how Halloween spread to America, to the Americas, and Halloween around the world. So I think that is it, really. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed listening to me rittering on about Halloween and what it's all about. So this slide here just tells you in Scots Gaelic and Irish Gaelic, goodbye and thanks for watching. Don't ask me to say that because I ain't got a clue, to be honest. So yeah, but thanks ever so much for watching. I want to wish you a very, very happy Halloween or happy Samhain. Please be safe and watch out for any black magic witches out there, and don't get caught up in any trick or treating and end up getting bags of flour thrown over you. That poor relatives of Joe did. So yeah, but thanks everyone for coming and watching the show. I hope you really enjoy it. I'm going to be trying to do these more regularly now, because I was doing them once every 2 weeks, and then some things happened and I couldn't do them. So hoping to do another one probably in another 2-3 weeks time. And yeah, absolutely really enjoyed doing it. Thanks very much for watching. Please don't forget to put a like on the video. Please don't forget to tell friends, family, colleagues about it. Share the video around. That'd be great if you could do that, both for me and for Diesel. But yeah, thanks for watching. Please take care of yourselves, and please remember to share some love and kindness around the world, and take care of yourselves, everyone. And thanks for watching. Cheers, everyone. Take care. Bye for now.